High school football week number 3, taking a closer look at another matchup within our local area as the James Wood Colonels travel down to face the Skyline Hawks. Skyline last week with a week 2 bye and in week 1 falling to Strasburg. James Wood edging out Brentsville last week to go to 2-0 on the season. Now joining me from Winchester's Classic Country 95.7 is Dan Gloster. And Dan, two teams that it should be a close matchup in my mind from what I'm seeing. But Skyline, I think they might have the slight edge, being they have a week 2 bye. Unfortunately, they came out with a loss week 1. But looking at James Wood on the other side of the football with a close victory against Brentsville, just your thoughts on this matchup going in?
I think James Wood's going to have a lot of pep in their step, if you will, coming off that big win against Brentsville, a team that really just manhandled them last season, 41-7. But total team effort. You get a defensive touchdown with Jordan Sweetster picking up a loose ball and rumbling for a touchdown from his defensive tackle position. You get Xander Manzo with some big plays, 3 catches for considerable yardage. You get a field goal named Aiden Bell with a field goal. I think that's his 3rd field goal of the season, and that gave them the lead. And then you get a special teams defensive play when you had the block field goal of 37 yards. That was a 37-yard field goal attempt. But prior to that, the ball was way down inside the 5-yard line, but the Colonel defense made a big stand there to push them back. And so just a total team effort, and James Wood got to be, really feeling good about themselves going into that game. Be their second trip to Warren County. They beat the Wildcats in week 1, 21-0. Now they're going to Skyline. So I think they'll definitely be excited for that matchup with the Hawks.
Absolutely. But you look at James Wood and how young this Colonels team is, to see the success that they have had early on. Still, it's a pretty great thing. I'm sure spirits are very high, but there's still that factor of you got to focus in, you got to lock in, and you got to play the game of football correctly.
Of course. I mean, what happened the previous play, the previous drive, the previous game, you can't do anything about it. You just gotta look to be positive on the very next play. That's all you can do, and I'm sure that's what Todd Wilson and the rest of the coaching staff are pushing to the kids. That, hey, we've got 2 good wins, but we can't think about that. We got to think about the next game, which boils down to the next possession, the next play, so on and so forth. So it's got to be a step-by-step procedure, and I'm sure that's what they're pushing.
In looking at Skyline, I know a relatively younger team, but they have a quarterback who's worked hard to get to that quarterback position, spending a lot of time playing different positions. What have you seen from Skyline, if anything?
Just that they lost to Strasburg, which is a Class 2 school, and Skyline being a Class 3 school. So, playing up, and they got, it was 38-12 was the final score. So don't have a whole lot of intel on Skyline, but I'm sure they'll be ready to play. And coming off that bye, let's see how that affects them, if they might be a little rusty or if they'll be a little fresher than James Wood, but we'll just have to wait and see.
It is a week 3 matchup as the James Wood Colonels travel down to face Skyline, and Dan Gloster will be on the call over on Winchester's Classic Country 95.7. As always, Dan, wish you the best. Have a great call, and we'll catch up with you soon, sir.
All right, Josh. Thanks a lot. Take care.